One of the mountainous tasks facing every WWE wrestler is pleasing a system that often cannot be pleased. This is a company that passionately shies away from calling pro wrestling anything other than the in-house replacement of sports entertainment, and one that has more childish quirks than Family Guy's Peter Griffin on his worst day. It's a weird place. For evidence, look no further than this assortment of workers who were fired for the dumbest reasons imaginable. Welcome to WWE, a place that has fired more employees for stupid crap than they care to admit. I'm Cy for WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 wrestlers WWE fired for stupid reasons. Number 10. Dasha Fuentes. Let's kick it off with the entry that inspired this entire video. Recently, AEW's Dasha Gonzalez told Chris Jericho's podcast that she was repeatedly told to dial it down when working for WWE as backstage interviewer Dasha Fuentes. According to the confused announcer, WWE management often told her she had too much personality and to refrain from showing any facial expression. Basically, they wanted a robot. The baffling thing is that some of WWE's best interviewers had bags of charisma. Think Mean Gene Okerlund, Sean Mooney, Jonathan Coachman, and even Renee Young. All of those names shared one thing in common: they had personality, but WWE didn't want that from Dasha. Gonzalez was fired shortly after WrestleMania 35, and whilst she admits she probably wasn't a great fit for the company generally, it's pretty clear that they stripped away everything that would have got her hired in the first place. Number 9. Konnan. This is a behind-the-scenes snap of Vince McMahon, Konnan as Max Moon, and other WWE staff looking rather pissed off about something. Maybe this was the exact moment K-Dog called out Vinnie Mac for telling little fibs about Japanese wrestling legend Jushin Thunder Liger. Wait, what? On his Keeping It 100 podcast, Konnan once revealed why he wasn't happy when he clapped eyes on the original in-ring outfit for his early 90s WWE gimmick. Max Moon's costume looked a little too Liger-ish, and the Mexican star let McMahon know about it. When Vince said that he didn't have a clue who Liger was, Konnan pointed out that he'd once spotted a pic of McMahon with the Japanese hero in a magazine. Apparently, this contributed to Konnan's downfall in the Federation. Of course, reportedly missing TV tapings probably didn't help things either, but the future NWO man is certain that Vince was riled by his earlier comments. Number 8. Buff Bagwell. Look, we've all been there. At one point, our mothers have almost certainly called in sick to our school or our place of work when we were young on our behalf. There is, however, a point when that sort of thing becomes unacceptable. In 2001, perpetual annoyance Judy Bagwell plagued WWF offices with calls about her boy Buff. Jim Ross couldn't believe it. Bagwell had been struggling to convince anybody of his viability since jumping over from WCW following that group's collapse, but Judy's daily phone calls to complain about the promotion's treatment of her son were the final straw. Here was a grown man who'd been presented as a key member of the invading WCW troupe, and his mummy was calling in incessantly. Buff was released shortly thereafter. He created his own issues in-ring and backstage. His arrogance during training sessions led to a fight with Shane Helms, but Bagwell was effectively canned for having an overbearing mother. Number 7. Emma. Make sure if you work for WWE and happen to be shopping that you never forget to pay anything. Even the most simple of mistakes can cost you that dream job in wrestling's biggest company. Just ask poor Emma. She was fired in July 2014 for stealing an iPad case from Walmart in Hartford, Connecticut. Except she didn't actually steal it. Emma was arrested by police and ordered to perform 1 day of community service. Typically, WWE decided to distance themselves from bad press and fired the NXT starlet for apparent theft. Later, staff at the Walmart branch revealed that the item was improperly scanned. That was literally it. WWE hastily rehired Emma following backlash from fans, and everyone moved on. The promotion's knee-jerk reaction, which definitely wasn't helped by the police department, made Emma and WWE look foolish. Talk about an overreaction. Number 6. Daniel Bryan. Speaking of overreactions, that could very easily sum up WWE's response to the Nexus angle on the historic 7th of June 2010 episode of Raw. There, live on air, NXT invader Daniel Bryan tried to up the ante by choking ring announcer Justin Roberts with his tie. The memorable, unplanned spot really sold the barbarity of this upstart group. WWE released Bryan 4 days later for being too violent. Think about how stupid that is in the context of a fired up heel faction who are looking to destroy Monday Night Raw, reshape the company landscape, and make a bold statement. Post-release, Dan himself reasoned that WWE had sponsors who they needed to appease. Still, it was senseless outrage. Bryan's choking gesture had perhaps made WWE worried that the media would make comparisons to the Chris Benoit tragedy of years before, but that would have been ridiculous. Daniel's actions were no more violent than any other weapon-related spot on WWE TV. Number 5. Dawn Marie. Becky Lynch recently received a ton of goodwill from WWE outlets on social media for falling pregnant and aiming to start a family with fellow wrestler Seth Rollins. Everyone gushed over Bex internally, and that had to feel good. One Dawn Marie didn't get the same treatment back in 2005. In fact, she was cast out of the company for daring to get preggers. It's true, Marie was released from her contract once WWE management learned that she was with child, and the legal fallout from this decision was rather nasty for all involved. Dawn, who was rightly appalled that her employer would be so cold, had already been placed on maternity leave when she was told she was a goner. In 2006, Marie decided to file a lawsuit against WWE with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. She alleged that the firing had caused serious mental stress at a time when she didn't exactly need that. Things were settled out of court in 2007. Number 4. Paul London. Paul London was fired for birthing something else. A smile. Not even that opening line could hope to be as silly as WWE's actual reason for losing faith in the talented high flyer, though. Despite lasting until late 2008, Mr. London's name was mud in company circles from 11th of June 2007 onwards. You see, he dared to flash a smile as Vincent Kennedy McMahon strolled past before the boss man's infamous limousine explosion angle that night. Paul would later claim in podcasts that he was reprimanded for grinning as Vince walked by, but says nobody seemed to have a problem when he did the same thing during the 7 to 8 earlier takes that WWE had filmed. The company had asked everyone to look melancholy or serious during the skit. London went another route and couldn't have looked happier. Lingering resentment from this sophomoric snap decision may have sealed his fate. Number 3. Serena Deeb. Kayfabe was hardly strong by 2010, and it's not like anyone was flabbergasted to hear that The Undertaker wasn't actually a supernatural force, or that Kofi Kingston might have not have been Jamaican. Exactly no one was fainting in the streets upon hearing news that WWE wrestlers were real people with real lives. That didn't save Serena Deeb. She'd been cast as part of CM Punk's Straight Edge Society and had even shaved her head to play the gimmick. Things were going well until WWE suddenly announced that Serena's contract had been terminated by the company. Why? Well, because she'd been spotted enjoying a few drinks with some friends at a bar. Yep, someone was fired for innocently living their life outside of office hours. It wasn't as though Deeb was doing anything illegal, she just fancied socialising with her mates. Apparently, it horrified WWE that someone playing a character on TV would do such a thing. Number 2. Matt Hardy. 2005 was a tumultuous year for Matt Hardy. That summer he learned that his longtime girlfriend Lita was having an affair with Edge behind his back. The pain must have been excruciating for Matt, and he didn't deal well with the discovery at all. That was to be expected, but WWE were only concerned with keeping the peace and moving on. So when Matt continued talking about what had happened in the press, they severed ties with the heartbroken Hardy. Fans petitioned to get him reinstated, and the promotion eventually bowed to the pressure and rehired Matt. That doesn't save the incident from a spot on this list. It was outrageous that WWE believed people would stomach such a punishment for someone who had done nothing wrong. In fact, Hardy had been wronged himself, and heat wouldn't die down until WWE turned the scandal into a money-making storyline. Number 1. Enzo Amore. Enzo Amore was fired in January 2018 amidst sexual assault allegations. That case would later be closed in May when police said there was insufficient evidence of any wrongdoing. That dramatic episode isn't the core focus here. No, something a little more depressing is farting. According to Amore, who told this story on his Talk is Jericho appearance last year, he was once fired by WWE for interrupting promo class with Dusty Rhodes between 2013 and 2014. In characteristic fashion, Enzo stuck his hand up mid Baron Corbin promo, waited until everyone was looking directly at him, and then farted loud as hell. WWE fined him $250 and released him that evening. Despite technically being a free agent, Amore turned up to the Performance Center the next day to find that he'd been rehired. Nobody explained to him why that decision had been taken. Still though, fired for passing gas. Hilarious. And that's the list. Let us know what you thought of this video down in the comments below, and any other WWE wrestlers that you can think of that were given the boot for needlessly stupid reasons. Make sure you like this video, share it with your friends, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. I've been Cypher What Culture, and have a good week.